All right, are we live? Am I live?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm live.
I
Haha.
did that at the wrong time.
Failure on your part. All right. Hello. How's everyone doing? I hope all of you guys here are just here to hear our wonderful voices and not because we're giving out a Dark Souls giveaway. But regardless, welcome to the Bearded Camp podcast. Sorry for the break last week. Life found a way. Always interrupting. Wonderful life. But we're back. We're good. We have some fun things to go. So we're going to be giving away a Dark Souls game. It's either be Dark Souls 2 or Dark Souls Remastered. It's up to you, your choice, and I'm even going to be opening up to whatever platform you want. So if you're the winner, you just contact me, and I will give it specifically to the platform of your choice: Xbox, PS, 5, 4, PC, and I know Nintendo Switch has Dark Souls Remastered. So if you want it for Switch, you can get it for Switch as well. It's up to you what your platform is. Additionally, because we had enough people do some celebrations and little shout outs in our Discord, we're going to be giving away 2 Steam cards today. So it's a very big giveaway thing. But remember, you have to be on here in order to get those giveaways. But without further ado, welcome to the Bearded Kevin podcast. Man, that was long, Kev.
That was a mouthful.
That was
But
a mouthful.
I'm sure people are excited for Dark Souls. But I'm sure they're more excited for our guest this week, which is are we revealing?
It's the Beardman. It's Myke.
Yeah, the Beardman Myke. Here he is.
He goes by many names: the Beardman, Cooler Master Myke, Myke himself. There he is. Everyone say hello to Myke. All right,
hey guys.
Just give it a shout out. What's up? So today, this week, we're gonna be just talking about Myke, just chilling, relaxing, talking mostly about some video games and stuff because he and I are just long past brothers who love the Zelda series. So we might talk too much about that, and then we'll have a little bit of fun games with him to go with. But with that, introduce yourself, Myke.
What's up, friends? I'm Beardman Myke. Most of you probably already know who I am, but I'm the community manager for Cooler Master. Big gamer, big nerd, and big good vibe dude. And that's why I'm here, because you guys produce some pretty decent vibes, pretty good vibes.
No, it's awesome. Myke recently joined us for our 24-hour streams. This was the first time you ever did it. How was it?
It was not quite like I remember it when I was a kid, pulling 24-hour all-nighters. It was way more fun back then. I had a good time, don't get me wrong. But by hour 20, I was like bobbing and weaving in and out. But it was still good, managed.
Yeah, man. I remember when I was a kid going like, yeah, I can't wait to play, like, grow up, play 24 hours with my friends. And now I do it for a charity stream and I slowly die inside every single time.
Yep.
Yeah, I distinctly remember staying up till like 5 o'clock in the morning playing Halo, to the point where I hear like doors opening in the house, and I'm trying to go to sleep real quick, but not tired at all. Doesn't happen like that anymore.
Oh man, having friends over and having your like dad walk in without a shirt, just like, guys, be quiet. And just like,
Man, that happened a lot.
Good old days. So yeah, of course, as you guys know, here at Sharkims Friend, and now Sharkims Friend Foundation, we go ahead and we do a 24-hour stream, twice a year, and we're always raising money for Seattle Children's Hospital. Reminder that you guys are always free to donate, whether it's $1, $5, we're always happy to do it. Your gifts are, helping out those children out there. We talked about that in our past podcast with Sharkims in our first one. So it's a great show. You guys can see it on YouTube. But what got you into with Sharkims? Like, how did you end up meeting him? Because Sharkims is pretty much the sun that has brought us all together to make a solar system.
So, by pure happenstance, let's say, I had recently moved up to Washington, and I was still working for Cooler Master. I was doing like a part-time gig with them because the European office liked what I did. And right after I moved to Washington, they were like, okay, so we're going to bring you on full-time now. I was like, oh, that's great. So one of the North American what is she? She's a PR. She had actually sent me his information. Said, "Hey, I met this guy. He's really cool. Does a lot of charity work. You should reach out to him and just kind of engage and see where it goes from there." So I did. Did not realize he was about an hour or two from where I lived, where I had just moved to. And so we set up a time. We went to the Rock. I'm sure you guys know what that is. The pizza joint in Washington. It's a franchise in Washington. I'm sure it's somewhere else. In any case, I went there and met his lovely wife, Sean, and Shelby. And we spoke for a while, had a couple of beers, had some pizza, and it just kind of went from there. We became fast friends, and he pitched me all these ideas and what he wanted to do with his charity. And sure enough, he did all of those things that he told me.
So, how did he drag you into the 24-hour stream? Because I remember we were like getting ready, and there's like Myke's joining us, and I was like, oh, he got him, he got him in. Like, what drove you to like get into the 24-hour stream? Was it the message Sean was delivering? Was it just sort of like you're like, man, I wish I remember playing 24 hours with friends. I want to try it again. Like, what got you into that big old 24-hour stream? Because it's a commitment, and sometimes like we all have different driving forces getting inside of it.
Definitely. It's actually a bit of both. So like I said, we met in, I think it was 2019, the end of 2019. He had done a couple of 24-hour streams after that, and I was present for some of them. Well, not all of them. And I may have told him that I was going to join the next one, or I put some idea in his head that I would be a part of the next one. And so he asked me, hey, do you want to do this next one? I was like, screw it, let's do it. So I decided, I mean, I did this as a kid. That was the other part. I did this as a kid. I used to stay up 24 hours playing Legend of Zelda, Star Fox Adventure, whatever game it was, at the time. I was staying up 24 hours to just steamroll through it and experience all of it. And so I was like, well, I can do this, easy peasy. Little did I know, but still we made it through.
So from the outside looking in, did we make it look easy at first to go for so long?
Yeah. It's because, no, you guys did. Most of you did. Some of you were.
Without a doubt, you don't think about it. Like I remember my second one. I had a strategy where it's just like I got to go to the bathroom, and I didn't go. I would like slide to the right, and like because my bed was to my right, and I would just like curl up for 5 minutes in a ball, like I can get a little bit of sleep here before I have to come back. Like it's not easy.
I mean, not to give up secrets, but I could just lay on the ground out of sight.
Well, you literally fell asleep.
But at least I was still present.
Yeah, a couple of you had fallen asleep.
We've all had crazy things. We had Bobby who said like, "I'll be right back," and he never came back. He literally said, "I'll be right back," and like we were just like, "Is Bobby still alive?" It's been like 40 minutes, and just never came back.
My only strategy was to just make sure I had plenty of water. That was something that Sean was like, okay, so he went down a list. These are the things you need to make sure that you're doing during the 24 hours. So I went and did some of them. I had 2 full gallons of water next to me the whole time.
I had forms of water.
Liquids.
Water. Don't
I don't drink, but I had liquids. I'll say that much. I mean, I just had soda and more soda. A lot of soda.
That's a hard crash.
Yeah. I mean, I've never been dependent. I mean, soda's caffeine, but I've never been sort of dependent on coffee. So like I just don't drink coffee, so I'd never get like those whole entire like caffeine headaches. And I know like for some people it's like it's a hard thing to go through.
What's the longest you've gone without actual soda, though?
Me? I did a Lent without soda once. So 40 days. Because my grandma was like, you need to give something up. You never give anything up for Lent because, living in a Mexican household, very devout Catholics everywhere. I was like, I'll give up soda. That was a rough go.
So you do have some sort of dependence.
Well, the thing is like my grandma like always used to drink Coke. Like my grandma just constantly drank Coke. And like at the age of 4, she literally was like pouring it down my throat. And so I just became addicted to Coke. I just drank Coke every day. Like I drank Coke, I drank Dr. Pepper, and so on. And it's been in my system since I was 4. I can't live without it. I love it. So with that, let's go ahead and let's get ready for a gift card giveaway because I know people are all excited for that gift card giveaway. So my first gift card giveaway will be for $10, a Steam gift card. So if you want to go ahead and put up a giveaway, Kev, we will. And let's just go into what we want to talk about. Oh, what's up? Oh. That is truly evil. I can only assume it was mid armor, maybe. Sounds like a mid armor move. Maybe. I don't know.
Mid armor is not ancient of chaos. Come on now.
So let's sort of talk about just video games in general. I mean, what is your youngest memory of video games?
Who's that to? Is that me? Because
that's to you, man. Yeah, you're a guest, you
know. My youngest memory, it's the very first memory, and I will always remember it fondly, was I was in a Toys R Us. Well, it would have had to been the early 90s, maybe mid 90s. And I don't exactly know why we were there, but what ended up happening is my grandparents got me the NES, but not the boxy one that looks like a VCR. It was the new version that they had released that had all the curves, and the cartridge sat at the top of it. And for no reason in particular, they also picked out a couple of games for me. It was a 2-pack of Star Tropics, and that was the very first time I had ever had a taste of an adventure game. And it just so happened that the main character of Star Tropics' name is Myke, so I guess I really got attached to it. It was a very wild concept. It's a kid from, I think, New York, and he has a yo-yo as a weapon. At the time, I also loved yo-yos, so this just fell into place and was perfect for me. The first game, he gets lost on an island. His grandfather had recently gone through, and just wild things take place. And then in the second game, it gets even more wild. Instead of traveling from island to island via submarine, he finds a book that takes him into different stories. He ends up in like a Sherlock Holmes style story. He ends up in the Egyptian desert. He ends up in the Ice Age. He ends up in Dracula's manor. It's wild, and that's the very first experience I had with video games, and it just kind of spiraled out of control in the best way possible from there.
My first adventure game, I guess, video game is do you guys remember a game called Echo the Dolphin?
Do you remember Echo the Dolphin? It went along with that gecko guy. I remember, like, back in the day. Gex, yeah.
Oh, I remember Gex. I don't remember Echo.
So yeah, my first video game that I ever played, I'd never beat, and I don't think I ever will, because that game is terrible.
If it was an early game, you weren't meant to complete those. I was surprised that I beat Star Tropics. Like, the second game I played was Master Blaster, and that game was not meant to be beat by kids my age.
Mine game was Super Mario World, and it's also the game that taught me how to play video games, because like my oldest memory is a Super Nintendo, and I remember my brother just playing it. I was watching him, and I would ask him, like, how do you do something? He just like, I don't know. Like, he just didn't want me to play. He'd rather me dial it quickly so it'd be his turn. And so when he would go off to school, I was like, I never did preschool, amazingly. I would just try playing it with the babysitter, and that's the game I learned. That's like my oldest memory. But for you, would you say that game you were describing, everything, would that be the catalyst for like your awakening? Like, video games can just be more than just entertainment. It can be like an art form, something that can like make you think deeply. Or was a game that came later on in your life like something that just woke you up? Like, for me, the game that like really woke me up being a kid was, man, why am I blanking out on it? I just told you, Kev, a while back. What was it again?
Zelda?
No, it wasn't Zelda. It was. I'll get back to it. But do you remember like a game that just like woke you up? Like, oh my god, video games could be so much more.
Yeah. So Star Tropics was the game that got me into being a gamer, and it just kind of went from there. And then I went over to a friend's house. He was playing Legend of Zelda. He was fighting Ganon. He was doing the tennis part of the game, where Ganon throws the spark at you, you hit it back at him with your sword. And I thought that was really cool. I eventually picked that game up for my N64, but then Majora's Mask came out, and that's the game that I think taught me way more than I think I was understanding at the time. Looking back at it now as an adult, I'm realizing just how much it was teaching me, I think. Um, it's kind of more on the depressing side, so I'm not going to dwell on it too much, but like Majora's Mask is a game that revolves around loss. um, you find four major characters who are on the verge of passing, and you sort of help them through it. And the game's subject matter really, really, I don't think I noticed it at the time, but now I think really helped me kind of figure out how life works and kind of accept it. And then, besides that, it was actually just a really fun game. There was a lot of mini games per character. There was, a bunch of masks that solved or that had different functions. It was just, and even though a lot of people today I don't think like it, but the time mechanic where you had to reset every 3 days was also really fun. So as you asked, yes, I do think that's kind of it helped me develop, and I also saw it as more than just a video game. It was definitely an art form. But I think a lot of the games on those early consoles were projects of passion.
No, without a doubt. I remember just playing demos and like the I remember like you used to buy like a PlayStation or something and they give you like the demo tape and you like play it. I just remember like just how encapsulating like the first PlayStation 2 demo game was, like just playing all those games and it was like trying to force a story into you. And I just remember like it still like breaks down to me. Like for me, video games have become so much more complex. I mean, I play games now that don't even have actions, like The Life of Edith Finch. Like that's still to me, it's just really a walking simulator, but like it's probably the one game that's ever like just really got me.
I used to subscribe to the official Xbox magazine, and they used to mail out actual like demo discs with the magazine. And that's how I would experience the majority of like new Xbox games. I couldn't afford the games back then. I think we got like a demo for Blinks 2. It was weird. You were like a cat with a vacuum, and you like vacuumed up trash and shot the trash at enemies to kill them.
Those were the days.
Man, it really was.
Just to
I
kind of
mean,
do real quick, there is a I guess confrontation on the donations list. Loveless is trying to keep it even, and someone is not. And I am all for this hashing it out. Keep it up, whoever it is.
just keep making poor Loveless suffer like every time. But again, thank you so much for the donations, for all you guys who are giving out donations. You guys are being awesome, and again, we appreciate it.
Definitely.
So again, going into like now how games have evolved and different console stuff, what would you say is your golden age of consoles? Like the golden age for you of gaming, like of games that just are such a fond memory. Would you say like N64, PlayStation 2, Xbox, original Xbox, Xbox One, Xbox 360?
I would say so it definitely starts with the N64. I still love I still loved the Super Nintendo and the NES, but I think the best part of my time with video games was with the N64 and sort of ending with PlayStation 2. Because the PlayStation 2 was kind of when online started to become a regular thing. And there's nothing wrong with online, but it's sort of that's when things started shifting. So most of the time for the PlayStation 2 and the N64 and anything in between, it was always just a single player game. The game was built around the idea of being a single player game. So story driven. In the case of say Wind Waker, it was story and art. It's just that was the golden age for me. Was when it wasn't always this always online games as a service. And again, there's nothing wrong with those because I play those games too and they're great fun. But I don't know, and it may have more to do with the fact that I was a kid and it was just a magical time. Like these were new, exciting concepts to me. Like these were magical, mystical worlds, and now they're still magical and mystical, but there's like an adult aspect to them that's kind of just like, well, At the end of the day, it's a video game. I kind of got to remember that. When I was a kid, I was like, well, this is fantasy. This is great. So yeah. And
What about you,
64,
Kev? What was
PlayStation 2.
your golden age?
I think the Xbox 360 kind of takes that because that's when I had the majority of my free time to play games. Yeah, as a kid, I would get dragged along with my dad to his shop, and I'd be there all the time instead of being home after school and playing games. But I don't know what happened during middle and high school, but that's when I had just unlimited time pretty much. But I spent a good amount of time on the music games of that era. That was very much my thing for probably 3 years. I was a very big fan of the Guitar Hero and Rock Band stuff, even though that's kind of faded out now as we've moved on to the next generation quotes.
Oh no, I'll have to agree with Myke. I think PS2 by far. Oh no, he said it's for me. It's PS2. Oh no, like PS2. I had Kingdom Hearts, Kingdom Hearts 2. I had Ace Combat 5 and 0. Like that was my jam. Like I love the N64. Don't get me wrong. Ocarina of Time, still probably one of like the most groundbreaking games for like it was the closest we got to like the biggest open world at the time, like just that sandbox.
Definitely.
Like I just remember, and then Majora's Mask. Like Majora's Mask was so unique to me because of how it worked the whole entire like time traveling function. Like that was a game where you had to literally pace your time. You had to like manage everything that was going on. You just couldn't like put yourself out of mind. You had to know like how much time you had left before you had to like time travel back. It was great. But I would say like the PS2 was the golden age. But going back to what you were saying, how everything back in the day it was very single player focused. Um, that sort of has gone away. It's slowly starting to crawl back. But what's been your feeling with like how the game industry has sort of gone into this whole entire everything's online feature, everything's sort of multiplayer. We're trying to look for the next battle royale. We're trying to make everything online version. Like, what do you feel about it? Are you like, do you think it's bringing a positive realm, or do you think it's starting to have a negative effect in the gaming industry?
I think kind of so taking an example from Linkin Park, who I'm sure all of us in here have heard of them, know who they are, and probably know that they changed in the recent years, prior to Chester's passing, unfortunately. Their music kind of changed a lot. And so when that was happening, when their music was changing and I was slowly starting to disconnect from them, I was like, well, this isn't what I'm used to. I don't like this at all. And of all places, I saw on YouTube, and they were like, so I know a lot of people don't like where their music's going, but I think this is them adjusting to the times. And they went and, they had a big old long explanation as to why, they think this way. And I was like, that makes a good point. Times are changing. You can't stay the same. So you got to kind of evolve with everything. And as much as I would prefer to go back to the golden age, I mean, it is a golden age for a reason. I understand that games need to evolve with the market, with the player base, whatever the case may be. I think it's going to plateau, and it may end up kind of resetting and going back to the days of single player, because like we've seen a couple of times now that video games that are based purely on single player. I'll take like the most recent example as God of War. That was a purely single player game, and it was a fantastic story, character driven. It was great. And people were convinced that sort of thing couldn't work anymore. CEOs, you know, they were convinced that games couldn't kind of hold their own as a single player only experience. But then along comes God of War and a couple of other games, but that's the one that sticks out to me and shows that they can still be story driven and be complete successes. So I think it's just it's a balance. I wouldn't say it's negative. I mean, the internet has its moments where anonymity kind of ruins things, but for the most part, I would say it's a balance. You can make great single player games and you can make great multiplayer games. As long as the developers aren't only making the game for the sake of money, we're probably in good hands. And that's where I'll leave it.
I do kind of want to say I don't think CEOs see the single player games as not profitable, but they kind of see, oh, if we take the time to make this single player game, or if we take the time to make a multiplayer game with microtransactions shoved in, that's the more profitable option. So they're gonna kind of gear towards that more often than not. But
Right.
I do like everything shifting back, or at least the companies that are good at making single player experiences focusing on that.
For sure. At the end of the day, they are a business. They need to make money to keep the lights on. I get it. It's kind of that nostalgia is kind of bringing me back. It's like, you remember when games were just single player experiences and there wasn't all these microtransactions and ways to pull money out of people. But that's part of the whole evolution of things. It's games are becoming more difficult to develop. They need to bring in some money. That's a reality. So that's why I'm kind of trying to. I understand the need for it, but also wish for the golden days to come back where it's just completely story driven, character driven, that sort of thing.
How do you feel about like the remasters? Like games are just being remastered constantly. I mean, we have Zelda's Skyward Sword being remastered. We just had Dark Souls remastered. I mean, are you enjoying like developers are sort of making remasters rather than focusing on trying to make new IPs or new games going forward? Are you like positive about it? Because there's usually a fight where people are saying, "Oh, another remaster, another remaster, another remaster," while other people are saying like, "This is great. This is continue on history." Older consoles that these games were on, they're not working anymore. It's harder to find these games, and now they're being widely more available and digitally as well. Are you positive when it comes to remasters, or are you like sort of, "Oh, a remaster, great, but things are becoming stagnant. There's not many games coming out anymore"?
I'm for them, honestly. There's cons to them for sure, and you kind of just listed them as that. It's they're running out of ideas, so they're like, well, we can make a quick buck by just getting a designated team to remaster this game. But on that same token, it's introducing a game that we all loved, or not just people loved, we'll say. So take, for example, Dark Souls 1. That was a game that I wasn't interested in when it initially came out, and by now it's kind of dated. And mind you, graphics don't make the game, but it kind of makes the experience a little bit more enjoyable. So I had never given it the time of day. And with the remaster coming out, I was like, oh, well, I'll give this a try now. So I think that is fantastic. And we can go even further back than that. On the 3DS, we had Ocarina of Time remaster or remake. I can't remember what it was. I think it was just a remaster because it wasn't remade, as well as Majora's Mask. And those were games that were from the mid 90s now being brought to the 2000 era. And I think that's great because we can get kids who are new to gaming, they get to see what we grew up with. I think overall it's a positive rather than a negative.
You see, I guess my prime example of a remaster that was done like right was Halo 2 when it was released in the Master Chief Collection. If you like, they not only took the time to make all the actual in-game graphics look well, they sourced out a different company to remaster all the cutscenes and make it look far beyond what even current gen consoles can display. Just practically make a movie out of the game because that's what people enjoyed about the game. The story building in that game was on par, I suppose.
I mean, I've always been big on remaster. I mean, Final Fantasy X. Try to guess how many like versions I have of it.
10.
No, I have a good 6.
3.
I literally have it for the Switch. I have it for the PS3. I have PS4. I have for PC. I have the original one for the P. Actually, no, it's 5. It's 5. I have 5 of them. I still don't regret ever paying a single price. Like, I love that game to death. I think it's great. Like, just the old remaster. But like, sometimes I hear people like just saying, "Oh, another one." Like, they're just not making. It's like Hollywood. They're just like rehashing and trying to do all those things. And I hear what Lovelace said. Like, sometimes it sucks when a remaster gets its ball drop, like Final Fantasy 8 on her part, dropped it. But without a doubt, I mean, do you get excited when like things are announced, like with the remake at all, guys? Like I know Final Fantasy 7 when they announced the remake, I lost it. I love it. But do you guys get excited ever when they say like, oh, we're gonna do a remake of the game? Like, what if they told you today we're gonna do a remake of Majora's Mask? No load screens, open world. Let's go for it.
That's that is my favorite game of all time. So I would love to see it brought into today's standards. I think that would be fantastic. Like if you even take a look at the YouTube videos that have Legend of Zelda in not Unity but Unreal.
Engine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even that, I'm just like, wow, that's really cool. And what's funny is that's sort of that's kind of a window into how we saw it as kids, like that high fidelity. That's how we were seeing it. So yeah, I would be totally for it. But kind of on the flip side, when the Final Fantasy VII remake, Final Fantasy VII remake came out, I was kind of indifferent to it, which is weird because I loved the initial game on the PlayStation 1 with all three of it, or four, I can't remember, I think it was three discs. I loved that game, but when the remake was announced, I was like, okay. I don't know. I guess it just kind of depends on the game and how they're doing it. Because kind of to your point with X, I grew up with X2, and then once I realized how much I loved X2, I went back to X and realized how much of a great game that was. And when those got remasters, I was like, well, I got to have this. So I did, and it was totally worth it. So it's definitely. I think my point is through all of this is definitely a game by game basis.
Yeah, it definitely depends on how much you've beat a game to death, how much you played through it.
Yep, definitely.
So here's a question I always like to ask people, like, who have grown up being gamers. How have you, like, sort of your life changed as a gamer? I mean, you remember when we were kids, we used to have like all the time in the world. We literally could sit down for hours on end and play a game and stuff. I mean, and now as my own life has gotten busy, I've realized like sometimes when I hear like, oh, this game takes 60 hours, I'm like, man, do I even have 60 hours to like get through this before like it'll ruin my life? Like, how have you changed? Like, is it sometimes like you get excited about a game, but then when you really think about it, like, man, I don't even know if I have the time for this.
That's exactly where I'm at right now. To a T. Early on, I loved being able to sit down because I had all the time in the world. I'd go to school, come home, and just play video games, and then on the weekend play more video games. And nowadays, I kind of like the routine that I've gotten into, which is to just play the same games over and over again, which is a real shame because my Steam library's got somewhere 180 games that I probably haven't touched. That and all those games I was super excited about and then never got to them because it's basically at this point for me now it's switching from MMO to MMO with maybe a game in between here and there, maybe a competitive shooter of some kind. But like it was Final Fantasy XIV for a really long time. That one sort of died down, and now I'm back to WoW. And I just purchased Resident Evil Village, which hasn't released yet. I've got the DLC for Outer Worlds. I bought Spiritfarer. I have Bravely Default on my Switch, and all of them are always taking the back seat to World of Warcraft, which I've spent a good 7 to 8 years of my life on, and I still just I don't know. I guess I'm just comfortable getting on and mindlessly grinding away on a tune or a dungeon or something like that. It's definitely shifted because, like I said, as a kid, full of wonder, wanted to experience every world that I could, and now it's like I just like my routine. I want to stick to that. I don't have time for new things, even though I definitely do if I made the time. And yeah, as Sean is saying in chat right now, he's the one who got me back in the WoW.
I get excited about WoW. I don't know. I get excited, but then once I hit that plateau of like, all right, I hit the top, I can't, like, then I'm like, well, damn, where's the goal now? Like, I don't like the raids aren't the goalpost for me. It's always like trying to get to that gear level. Once I get to that gear level, I'm like, all right, well, I'll see you next expansion. I'll see you at the end of this expansion.
Yep.
That fatigue there. I mean, how about you, Kev? You're now getting into the whole entire fully your schedule's busy. Sometimes I message you like, man, my schedule's so busy. Like, how are you feeling with the transition, like when it comes to video games?
It sucks. Like it really sucks because I enjoy, you know, evolving stories. I played WoW for a bit, but I'm not sure if I'll be going back to that just because that ate so much time. But I don't know, scheduling times to play games never like doesn't sit well with me. I find it I liked it more as a more spontaneous hobby instead of like, oh, so let's do this at 7 o'clock at night. I like being able to hop on for an hour, hop off, whatever. But yeah, I really miss when I was in college. I started achievement hunting and started just playing tons of random games. Nacho, relax. And that was fun, just experiencing kinds of things I never played before. But it sucks. I don't have the freedom to do that anymore. Bills and mainly bills.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just a quick little reference. So someone got into like my Nintendo account and ended up buying Monster Hunter Rise. Like, and they used part of my like Nintendo cash. They didn't use my card or anything, and I eventually got my Nintendo account back, but due to factor authentication. But I'm like looking at Monster Hunter Rise there, and Nintendo says, "Well, we can't do a refund. It's yours." And I'm like, "Man, I really wanted this game, but I really don't have time to play it." So just like sitting there, I'm like, man, this full price game that someone wished they could have is just not being played. And I get that feeling. Like it really sucks sometimes. But with that, have we ended the raffle for the first stream gift card yet, or is it still going?
I can end it.
Yep. So we can get the second one going, and then Dark Souls will be raffled at the end of the podcast today, guys. So make sure to stay around for that.
Shanti 34.
Shanti 34. Shanti, you're inside. I'm pretty sure inside our Discord. I will send you your gift card. Let me write that down right now.
Nice,
I'm
Shanti.
almost sure that you are.
He's definitely in there.
Oh yeah, he's in there.
So let's go ahead.
Active.
The next one is gonna go for another $10, another $10 gift card. So let's go ahead and put up that raffle, and then we'll end it when we're done with our discussion, and then we'll go for our Dark Souls raffle.
I hope someone gets a lot of fun out of the Dark Souls raffle, whichever game they end up deciding on. I think they'll enjoy it.
I remember Dark Souls 2. Dark Souls 2 was suffering. It was it was a relationship where it's just like, I love you, but you hurt me. Like, I don't know. I can't explain it. It wasn't an abusive relationship, but it wasn't. I don't know. It made me feel like a masochist.
I think I've gotten the first like quarter of the first game and I gave up because it's too much for me.
The fact that you die by the first boss multiple times.
Yes.
It's so punishing.
It's such a polarizing game that if you don't stick with it, you look back and go, God, I hate that game. Or you get to that point of masochism where you breathe Dark Souls 3. Like for me, so something that I do in Dark Souls 3 is that I get to champion Gundyr, which is the second version of the first boss that you fight, and all I do is I parry him. I have no intention of killing him. I just want to see if I can parry every single strike that he has or that he throws at me. It's so weird. Once you really get into it, you love the game with some sprinkled salting moments in there, because like inside my head every single time I die to something in Dark Souls 3, I'm like, this is a terrible game. Why did they even develop it? And then I get through the spot and I'm like, oh, this is all right. It's just a good game.
No, it really is. So last question of the night before we get into our game that I sort of made for you. How do you feel about the whole entire, us now getting into social media, the internet world? We have such a bigger voice today in impacting the gaming industry. How do you feel about just, the world, Reddit, Twitter, and everything having such an impact, the way they react negatively, or when they react positively to the game, or even sort of the impact they put on developers or the stress? Like, how do you feel about it? Do you think sort of we take advantage of developers, or do you feel like, you know, developers sort of take advantage of us, or sometimes it's the small minority have the loudest voice?
That is a heck of a question to ask me because I've got so many opinions on it. I think it's a double-edged sword. Um, I think the developers are caught between the people that need them to make them a game to make money and the people who help make that money. Um, it's it's great that the community can now engage with the developers and say, "Hey, we're playing your game. We don't like this aspect of it. You know, as long as it's done civilly, mind you, which it very often doesn't, unfortunately. But you know, we don't like this aspect. Is this something you can look at?" And the developers will, you know, sometimes, not all the times, they'll go and say, you know, maybe this isn't great. We've got a bunch of people saying no. Let's change it, see how it does, and it's a huge success. But then there's other times where the community is saying that we don't like this. Can you please change it? They change it and it's terrible. Or they ignore the community entirely, even when it's something, you know, bright as day, this isn't good, and they ignore it and it crushes a game. And then to add more to that is when you get this community who wants these changes made, who need these changes made, and then the developers are forced to go into crunch mode. That's unfair. That's wholly unfair that these people have to spend all of their lives on, you know, this was something that they loved. This was something they put a lot of passion into, and now it's forced upon them, and they have to make it like it is a career at the end of the day, but it's something they're forced to do, and they probably end up resenting it. So it's again, it's a double-edged sword. I think it could be really cool for the industry, and it can be very very bad. And we've seen it be very very bad in the past. Just take a look at Anthem. You know, BioWare clearly wanted to make some kind of story-driven game, but EA was like, "Well, how about that money though?" And we get this weird amalgamation of like a Destiny ripoff that they, after the fallout had kind of cleared, they're like, well, we're going to try to make it something good. But by that point, EA was like, we can't make any money. You're done. So it's both good and bad.
I love, you know, as many missteps as Bungie makes with Destiny. Every, you know, like, I guess every successive looter shooter that comes out is always like dubbed Destiny killer.
Mm-hmm.
Yet Bungie's the only one that can seem to keep it going as a platform. Like they're the only ones that have a plan. And I wish the positive feedback that like the community gives for anything is as fairly represented as is for negative, because we all know, you know, when people are pissed off, even like the smallest amount, they will scream till the ends of the earth about it. And I guess that's a big issue I have with the kind of the feedback loop that developers and gamers have now.
I
That's
think for
totally fair.
me, the hardest is when they open up a beta, like an open beta, and the community gives feedback, and then the game releases, and whatever that feedback was you notice is completely ignored. Like you kind of feel like, okay, we were just bug testers. We weren't there really to give, okay, this is really not worth it, or this is really, you know, broken. Um, and sometimes it gets ignored. I think that sucks. Like you see the writing on the wall of, unless this is fixed, this is gonna be a train wreck. Um, and then you see it, or sometimes like, you know, the change would happen. Like for me, as much as Nintendo is a weird company that, and we joke around sometimes, Kev, you and I, like they just don't want to make money sometimes. They're very good about when they drop their big IPs, they make sure that it's gonna be a killer. Like Metroid, they canceled Metroid because, and they literally said, we don't think it's great. Breath of the Wild 2, they literally said, we have nothing right now, and we don't want to just give you false hope, so we're not showing you anything right now.
Hold on. Did I miss something? They canceled Metroid, or they restarted?
They canceled Metroid, they just delayed it for a very long time.
Okay, I thought I missed something past month.
But yeah, I think without a doubt, sometimes it is. Sometimes I hate it when a community sort of breaks down a team, because then you're sort of like, man, what's next? Like, is it ever going to be reawakened, or is it just not going to happen? Like, you don't get like a revival story like Final Fantasy 14 or what's that one game with the starships in space from Hello Games?
No Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky. You don't get one of those like success stories very often. And most of the time it's like you get the anthem. Like it died. It just couldn't get legs. It couldn't reawaken itself. And it's usually because the community had just broken down the developers to the point where just like we lost the love of the game, like Myke said.
It's very often a damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you try to include the community in it, it's like great, you included the community, but then you also get those people who are like, well, you're just bowing to the people who have the loudest voices. And if you don't include the community and your game suffers, it's like, well, you should have listened to us. And I really don't envy developers these days. I think it's great the ones that try to take into consideration their communities, but I honestly don't begrudge them if they kind of want to just stick to their guns. Like this is their passion; it's not anybody else's passion. You're not on the development team. Let them be. If you don't like it, don't play the game. And that kind of ties into another thing that I may end up catching a lot of flack for this, but I think we are, with the way that the internet can kind of patch things and we can now speak to the developers, we have become wholly spoiled. Like there was a time, back in our golden age that we were just talking about a little while ago, where you got a game and you played it for what it was. If you didn't like it, you told people about it, they avoided it. That was where it ended. Now it's a game comes out and there's just the slightest, and I'm going to use Outriders here as an example. There's just the slightest little hiccup. And mind you, this is a hiccup they should probably have been aware of, because this has been a thing since Wrath of the Lich King. If your game starts to get really popular, you need to understand that people are going to join it, and they're probably going to crash your servers because everybody's trying to join it. But whatever, we'll cut them some slack a little bit. The slightest hiccup, instant review bomb. The game's garbage. Nope, not going to touch it. They're terrible human beings. They're terrible developers. Don't touch the game. Don't give them any of your time. It's like, chill. I would like to tell these people to chill out. It's not that serious. It probably should have launched in a better state. Maybe you could make that point. Like, I'm not on the development team, so I couldn't say. And most of these people who are complaining aren't either. Just give it some time. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. It will probably get better, or in the case of Anthem, it never did. But like, until the game is becoming an Anthem, there's really no reason to complain. I think this is just a personal opinion. Again, I may catch some flack for it, but like, take a look at Fallout 76. That game launched terribly, and now it's a pretty solid game that people are ready to get behind. Just give it a little bit of time if you need to. The landscape has changed. It's not as simple as creating a single player game, releasing it to the market, and then just kind of that's where it ends. It's changed now.
Yeah.
I know a guy that works on Warzone as QA, and part of his job is to actually go through Reddit and see what are the issues people are having, and it just like crushes his soul just reading through the comments. It makes him not want to actually do the job anymore.
I can only imagine. Like, and it's not even like it's constructive criticism either. It's this game's terrible. I don't want to play it. You shouldn't play it anymore. It's not. It's that instead of it should be. So on this map, in this section, this building bugs out and I get stuck on the floor. It's nothing constructive. It's always just, this game's garbage. I don't want to touch it anymore. Let's go play this other game. And then that, everybody floods to that game. That game's terrible just as much because, they had a single hiccup and they review, bomb it, do whatever, and move on. That's another thing, but I won't get into it because I know we're probably strapped on time here. Is that games are like a mile a minute nowadays. Is you get a bunch of people who buy a game, oh, this game's great, and then about a week later we're done, going to the next one.
All right, with that, let's go ahead and end that Steam card giveaway, and let's open up the Dark Souls giveaway. And while the Dark Souls giveaway is going, we're going to play a little game of what's the best game in Myke's opinion. So I have a list of games dating back from all the way to Pong to what is today's, Xbox One, PS5, or PC latest version. And we're just and they're some of the greatest games. I don't have them all. I'm sorry if what you think is the greatest game in the world isn't on my list, but this is just asking Myke. You're going to get 2 games at a time. You're going to rank which one you like better, and then we'll eventually break it down all the way till we end the list. So if one game wins, it'll continue on to the next person, to the next game, to the next game. So it's not going to be like this game, and it's a bracket. It's rather this game. Okay, winner goes against now this game. Winner goes against now this game, like that.
That sounds fun.
All right, you ready? First
I'm ready.
game. Pong, Oregon Trail.
Oregon Trail.
Oregon Trail. Oregon Trail, Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow.
Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow.
Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow, Super Mario World.
Pokemon.
Pokemon. Pokemon or Legend of Zelda Link to the Past?
Link to the Past.
Link to the Past or Castlevania?
Link to the Past.
Link to the Past or Star Fox 64?
Star Fox 64.
Star Fox 64 or Mario 64?
Star Fox 64.
Ooh. Star Fox 64 or GoldenEye 007?
Star Fox 64.
Ooh. Star Fox 64 or Tony Hawk Pro Skater?
Oh, Star Fox. I was never interested in those games.
All right. Not sure if you've ever played this game, but Star Fox 64 or EverQuest?
Oh, I didn't. I've seen it played and it seems really good, but Star Fox 64.
All right. This is our last Nintendo 64 game. Star Fox 64 or Zelda Ocarina of Time?
Ocarina.
I didn't put Majora's Mask because I know like that's
It was gonna win no matter what.
yeah, it's gonna be anything. So
For what it's worth, those games, all of those games, it didn't end up just being my favorite game because a lot of those games were on my favorite list. It was just like basically taking it, how much playtime as a kid did I get out of those games? And Star Fox 64 was a strong contender because you had to do all those secrets to get to the other worlds. That's what really drove it. But then you put Ocarina of Time up against it. It was like that was the adventure game.
all right, Ocarina of Time or Gran Turismo 3?
Ocarina.
Ocarina of Time or World of Warcraft?
Ugh. World of Warcraft.
Wow, all right, World of Warcraft. Was not thinking that was gonna get there. World of Warcraft or Dark Souls 1?
World of Warcraft.
Oh wow, okay. World of Warcraft or Uncharted 2 Among Thieves?
World of Warcraft.
All right, I already know which one's gonna be the winner here. World of Warcraft or Rock Band 2?
Oh, World of Warcraft.
World of Warcraft or Persona 4?
World of Warcraft.
World of Warcraft or Red Dead Redemption?
World of Warcraft.
Yeah, okay.
Sean's
World of
watching.
Warcraft
You messed
or
up.
Kingdom Hearts 2?
Ooh. World of Warcraft.
World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy VII, the original game, not the remake?
World of Warcraft.
Oh man, I think World of Warcraft is going to take it. World of Warcraft or Assassin's Creed 2?
Ooh. Assassin's Creed 2.
Oh. AC2. All right. AC2 or AC Brotherhood?
AC2.
All right. Assassin's Creed 2 or Persona 4? Never known if you played Persona 4.
I haven't, but I've heard good things about it, so it's going to default to AZ2.
All right. Assassin's Creed or BioShock 1 and 2 together?
BioShock 1 and 2.
BioShock or the God of War trilogy?
BioShock.
BioShock or the Dwarf X series?
BioShock.
BioShock or StarCraft 2?
BioShock.
BioShock or the Silent Hill series?
Oh. BioShock.
BioShock or the Batman Arkham series?
BioShock.
All right. BioShock or the Mass Effect trilogy?
Uh-oh. BioShock. I'm going to catch so much flack for that from Rosie.
BioShock or the Devil May Cry series?
BioShock.
All right, now we're going to get to more popular games. BioShock or Portal 2?
Ooh. Portal 2.
Portal 2. All right, Portal 2 or Halo 2?
Portal 2.
Portal
I'm
2
sorry.
or Overwatch?
Portal 2.
All right, Portal 2 or Half-Life 2?
Ooh. Portal 2.
Portal 2? All right, I love Portal 2. I would go with Portal 2 over Half-Life 2.
I-
Portal 2 or Witcher 3?
Portal 2.
All right, Portal 2 or Baldur's Gate 2?
I haven't played it. It's gonna have to be
you've
Portal
never.
2.
Oh, dude, you need to play Baldur's Gate if you've been doing like Dungeons and Dragons.
I have. Yeah, I need to play number 2, and I've got number 3, and still haven't given it much time.
Okay, Portal 2 or Dragon Age Inquisition.
Portal 2.
Portal 2, or I don't know if you ever played this indie game, Journey.
I haven't played that, so Portal 2.
All right, Portal 2 or the Knights of the Old Republic series.
Portal 2.
Portal 2 or The Last of Us.
Oh, I haven't played it. Portal 2.
Portal 2 or Dishonored series.
Ooh. Dishonored.
Dishonored. Dishonored's pretty great, not gonna lie. Dishonored or Elder Scrolls Skyrim.
Dishonored.
Dishonored or Fallout New Vegas 1 and 2.
Oh, New Vegas.
Wait, what? New Vegas 1 and 2?
Yeah, what's
Yeah.
1 and 2? Is number 2 coming out?
Oh no, it's only 1. My bad. I don't know why I put 2. That's weird. Fallout
Man, you got
New
me
Vegas.
so
All right.
excited.
Fallout New Vegas or Fallout 4.
New Vegas.
Fallout New Vegas or Borderlands 2.
New Vegas.
New Vegas or Diablo 2.
New Vegas.
New Vegas or Resident Evil 2.
New Vegas.
New Vegas or Final Fantasy X.
New Vegas.
New Vegas, and this is where I'm now laughing because I started putting joke games. New Vegas or Fortnite.
New Vegas.
New Vegas or Minecraft.
I mean, Minecraft's pretty good though. New Vegas.
Hold on.
And
Monster Hunter. New Vegas.
then New Vegas or Destiny 2.
New Vegas.
Now it's Monster Hunter World and New Vegas.
Those are really close. New Vegas is going to edge out though.
All right, and then the last one is New Vegas or God of War. The PS4 version.
Man. New Vegas.
New Vegas, and New Vegas comes out being the winner.
Yep. Yeah, New Vegas was, as far like a lot of those games that I was, kind of shirking at they were all fantastic games, but New Vegas just was the king of RPGs and the king of
storytelling. I think without a doubt, no one has better vaults than New Vegas in any Fallout game.
Yeah, definitely. It had some of the greatest characters. Joshua Graham to this day is still my favorite character because they built this myth around a man, and then you actually meet him and it's a dude with a pistol, and it somehow made it even better. He was lit on fire, thrown into the Grand Canyon, and he came out alive. And it's just like, and then he just uses a pistol. He uses a 45 pistol, and he's this god in the game. And then Ulysses was also really good. Just that whole game, I loved that game. I think I sunk 2,000 plus hours onto it on my Xbox 360 when I was, back in 2010. That's when it released. That game is just so special to me. It may even edge out over that guy.
Oh.
Which is saying a lot.
Yeah. And again, I'm sorry for anyone. Oh, actually, I missed one. New Vegas or Breath of the Wild?
I haven't played it. It's sitting in my Switch and I haven't touched it.
I can 100% tell you if you want to play it on your PC, and I'm not saying I know how to, but if you do, I know a guy.
Oh. That game seems so daunting, and that's why I kind of every single time I pick it up, I'm like, there's a lot going on. I
sort of love it because it's like the most. If you love the Zelda series, when you jump into the world, it's like you're looking at it in a new way, and you're rediscovering everything you loved about Zelda.
The short bit I played of it, I can definitely agree with that statement. Like it definitely seemed like this is not the Zelda that I've played. We're not in Kansas anymore. That sort of shtick.
Yeah, you're like rediscovering the world you fell in love with, but in a like different gameplay mode, which I loved it. All right, well, that'll do. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for everyone who's participated. Did we end our raffles? Let's go ahead and end our raffles.
See who gets it.
Thank you so much for coming out, Myke. Thank you for everyone who donated. You guys are awesome. If you want, hit one last donation if you guys enjoyed today's talk. or if you just want to tell Myke thank you for choosing Fallout New Vegas because you would have chosen that well. I truly appreciate it. You guys have been awesome. Loveless, congratulations.
Yep.
You have won. What did she win the gift card?
No, that's Dark
That's
Souls.
Dark Souls.
Oh, you won Dark Souls. Congratulations,
Nice.
Loveless. Go ahead and just message me on Discord, Loveless. I'll put my name out in general. And you can tell me what platform you want it on. If you want it on PC, I'll be glad to give you a code. If you want it on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series, just let me know and I will get it for you, whichever one you want.
Yes, you gotta win twice, Loveless.
Nice.
Oh, she won a gift card too? She won the gift card as well?
Anonymous for $1.03. Thank you for messing up the even numbers.
Wait, who won the gift card? Who won the second one?
Loveless.
Loveless. Oh, she won twice? Nice. All right, Loveless. Well, congratulations. Thank you again, Myke. Thank you, everyone. Anything you want to say before you go, Myke? You want to promote yourself? Promote your Twitter handle, your Instagram?
Nah. For those of you who won, the only thing I would ask of you is to try to pay it forward. The end.
Kev, anything you have to say before we head out?
Thank you for all the donations and for watching our hour-long ramble of random topics. Hope to see you guys next week. We still haven't zeroed in on who our guest is, but we will return. Thank you very much.
All right, guys. Cheer. Bye.
See you guys.
See ya.